Buddy, what's it, Fox Gaming here. I've got a brand new build video for you today. This is, I'm calling this build the Shepherd build. I put it together specifically to help what I call Shepherd players, the best players in the game really, that go out of their way to help maybe the lesser experienced players. They'll, randomly matchmake into missions or answer the call via the map to help out anybody that's calling for help. These guys really sort of do a great work with the community. They make the existing player base want to continue playing, particularly the newer players that maybe might accidentally step foot into the dark zone and get murdered and think, oh, I'm not playing this game again. When they call for help, you get those shepherd guys with the angel wings above their name and their shepherd rank. Those guys that just really make the newer players of the game feel welcome, and this build is for you. So this build is by no means a meta build, but in my opinion this is one of the best ways to play a support style build, so a build designed to help keep everybody alive for generic PvE content, and I'm not even necessarily talking about the hardest stuff like heroic. You can use this anywhere, and the lower the difficulty, the better it performs, but I've been testing this in heroic and it works absolutely fine. So my main concern around support builds for PvE in particular is that they don't do much damage. You've got 4 players doing a heroic mission or legendary or whatever, and if one of them is a healer or a tank, yes, of course you're supporting your team by topping off their health and giving them extra damage or giving them loads of bonus armor or whatever else. Potentially debuffing the enemy through True Patriot as a tank. Plenty of ways to play support, but ultimately the best way, and it's a shame, but the best way to clear through difficult content in the game is just to have 4 raw DPS players. Even for legendary content, if you just have 4 skill builders that are just doing nothing but raw DPS via their skills, that is currently the most effective way to clear legendary content. So having that support player, some people will be like, well, we don't need a healer because we've got medkits, and if we just kill everything faster, then there's less things to shoot us, so less healing is required anyway. And that makes a lot of sense, right? So my version of a support build is one that still does quite a lot of DPS, and not as much as a glass cannon build, but it still does a lot of DPS, but still offers that team support. So I think I've hit the sweet spot with that kind of hybrid build. So you'll notice that it uses 5 reds and 1 blue. The blue is of course the exotic tardigrade chest. So the way that tardigrade works, I'll quickly explain this. You might have seen this in conflict, as it is kind of meta with intimidate teams at the moment due to the bonus armor that it provides. PvE, you don't really see this very much because Vanguard is traditionally seen as a better variant, as it just gives bonus armor more of the time, but that's a bit more difficult to play, and with this it was designed to kind of bring people back from the point of death. So ablative nanoplating: whenever your or your allies armor breaks, they gain 80% of your armor as bonus armor for 10 seconds. The cooldown of this is 45 seconds per ally, so it's not just 45 seconds total. You can just have like 2 tardigrades in a party. It's a cooldown per ally, so you only need 1 tardigrade. So it's really good if somebody's about to die. Again, you're playing with a group and maybe they haven't quite got their builds up to scratch yet, or they're having a hard time. Tardigrade can save their life and allow them to get out of a difficult situation, but of course you are restricted by that 45-second cooldown, and that's where Vanguard, being only a 25-second cooldown, could be deemed as being better, right? Well, maybe. What I focused on here was the bottom part of the ablative nanoplating. Killing an enemy with your specialization weapon removes this cooldown for all allies, and a lot of people forget about this. So this build is based around resetting the tardigrade's cooldown basically as much as possible, because there's no cap on how often you can do that. I actually had tardigrade double proc for myself a couple of missions ago whilst testing this, so I ended up with 160%. That's pretty rare, but if you time it that split second right, that can happen. So yeah, what I wanted to do was base this build around my specialization weapon. I want to be resetting that cooldown all of the time. The moment I see it proc for me or somebody else, I want to be resetting that so that my team can continue playing aggressively, or just sort of figuring out their builds and their play style and not worry about dying all the time. I opted to go for the Demolitionist here, and there's a few reasons for that. The main one is that it's the easiest weapon to fire multiple shots and get the kill, because specialization weapons are a little bit underwhelming at the moment. This does 3.2 million damage with how I've spec'd it. The highest one is technically the crossbow, but this is very clunky. I wouldn't recommend this at all. It might suit the team support playstyle a bit better because your armor kit heals everybody, and you can apply status effects via your grenade that allows everybody to do more damage. But Demolitionist gives you 5% damage to targets out of cover for your entire team, so that still supports them. I personally recommend going for the grenade launcher though. You can just spam it like crazy. The flamethrower is really powerful, but you have to be really close. The gunner's still terrible even after its buff. This isn't too bad, 2.7 mil, but you do get a headshot modifier, which does a lot more damage. Still don't think it's that great though, because it's very clunky to zoom in and out. And this isn't too bad actually. It fires multiple rockets, but again, it's very slow to lock on. So in my opinion, you pull this out quickly, you fire off a load of shots. It's got 6 in the mag. You can really spray them down and get that kill. You know, it takes a couple of shots to kill a heroic red bar, which seems pretty bad, and it kind of is, but 2 quick spam shots and you've reset everyone's tardigrade. So that's why I went for the Demolitionist. So tip of the spear, we're using tip of the spear here to buff, or essentially, you know, help out our tardigrade specialization kills. So tip of the spear is a gear set that's built entirely around your specialization weapon. You get this from the raid, including the blueprints, but it does now drop in the open world, including the backpack and chest. 2 pieces gives us 10% signature weapon damage. Perfect, we're going to need that. 3 piece gives us 10% weapon damage. Even better, we're going to need that just for being a DPS player for the most part. And 4 pieces gives us the aggressive recon talent. Dealing damage with a signature weapon increases total weapon damage by 20% for 60 seconds. That's not the main part of this build, but just with the 4 piece and the 2 piece, the 3 piece, sorry, we're getting 30% extra weapon damage on top of our 5 red build. Which is fantastic. We're just going to do even more damage because of that. But the main part here is underneath that, where it says automatically generates signature weapon ammo every 60 seconds. So that's perfect. We want to be getting ammo as much as humanly possible. The backpack gives us a talent that's based around our signature weapon. Increases signature weapon damage by 20%, so that's doubling the 10%, and doubles the amount of signature weapon ammo generated by aggressive recon. So we're now getting 2 grenades every 60 seconds instead of 1 grenade. The chest piece buffs your weapon damage from 20 to 40% if you run the tip chest piece, but we need to run tardigrade, and this is all based around the signature weapon. So actually the backpack is the best choice here. For your 6th piece, what you want to do is base this around the specialization that you ultimately go for. I would recommend Demolitionist, so I would encourage that you get a China Light with ideally critical hit chance and critical hit damage already rolled, so you can re-roll the core attribute to weapon damage. You don't want a yellow in here, you don't want a blue, you want to run tardigrade as the blue and everything else as a red, because ultimately you need to be getting a lot of kills to generate more specialization ammo. China Light gives us 15% explosive damage. That buffs this grenade launcher, and I tested it out. I didn't think it would, but it does. It also buffs my Seeker Mine. Now you may wonder why I'm running a Seeker Mine here. So I'll quickly show you this first. No, actually I'll do it from the bench first. So again, there's a lot of confusion with this. If you go into any specialization class, these two are always in the same place on the left hand side. So the first one here, killing enemies with explosions adds 3 to the ammo bar, except from signature weapons. And the second one along, killing multiple enemies with explosions adds 2 to your group's ammo bar, except from signature weapons. So what they're saying there is you need to get kills with explosions to generate more for your ammo bar. Now the ammo bar is a little bit unknown in the game at the moment. If you look at where my ammo is there, the 50 and 486, to the left of that you'll notice the ammo bar there, the 10, I think it must be more than 10, that's like 15 different notches. Every time you get 1 kill, that fills up. Although it doesn't work in okay, that's fine, I thought it would work there. So every time you get 1 kill, that fills up by 1, it'll be orange. But the explosions there, that gives us 2 and 3. If we get a kill with an explosion, it gives us 3 in there. And if we kill multiple enemies with an explosion, it gives 2 to everybody. So you need to be getting a lot of kills to fill this up, because it's 1 extra way. That's basically the only way that you see the orange beam on the floor with your specialization weapon. That means that you've filled up those 15 or 12 or whatever that is segments. Each class has a different way to fill this up. So play the class that you're most comfortable with. I still think Demolitionist is the best because it's easy just to quickly fire it off. But Survivalist relies on you getting status kills. If you look there, killing enemies under status effects adds 3, and then killing enemies under status effects adds 3 to the group ammo bar. Survivalist is great for playing that support role for you Shepherd players as well, because you can heal everybody with your medkit. So this could be a good choice. I just don't like the specialization weapon. Sharpshooter. It rewards you for headshots. So getting headshots adds ammo to the group bar. Technician for killing proxies, I think. Yep, killing robotics and proxies. So pick the one that you feel works best for you, but you want to be choosing your 6th piece based around your specialization weapon. So for example, I would actually go, if I went for sharpshooter, I would run punch drunk because that gives us 20% headshot damage, and then have the 4th tip piece down here. So my mask is the high tier, the gold item. And that way you're just more likely to close off those headshots, and therefore generate more sharpshooter ammo. You know, so play the 6th piece as what complements your specialization tree the best. Chunlight is buffing the grenade damage of this build. It buffs the Seeker mine that I'm using, and this doesn't get that many kills, but it's just an extra way to potentially fill it up, and it buffs this. I've re-rolled it to red, of course, just to ensure that my weapon damage is high. I opted to go for the classic M1A with Optimist here because it's still one of the best weapons in the game, but to be fair, you can use any weapon that hits hard. You know, don't feel that you're limited to this. I actually use the mechanical animal as a secondary here, so it's a good way to melt down sort of health targets, and if I get a kill it just makes my Seeker mine that much better. But you could run Eagle Bearer here, you could run, a good choice actually is Pestilence or Bullet King. You know, use whatever weapons you're comfortable with. So let's load into a mission and try and demonstrate how this works. So I'm going to do this as a Shepherd player would. They would normally go answer the call, but I'm just going to go for a random main mission, see where we end up. Try and demonstrate this build. So yeah, I really do think I've hit the sweet spot here for a support build, because you don't want to be that guy that, yes, you're there to help your team, but ultimately people don't appreciate your help because, you know, they may think, well, why do we need a healer? We just want more DPS. This build is both of those things. You are offering healing via constant overshields when your guys are about to die. Looks like I got here a bit late. It's the boss that's up, isn't it? But you're also doing a lot of damage. So we've already got 2 in here. If we quickly get a shot on him. There's the tip of the spear proc. I'm going to use my mechanical animal here because it's health, damage to health, and this is a health only boss. Switch to the M1A, see what kind of damage we're pulling. It's about 1 million a shot. You know, you can definitely hit higher than that with like your typical glass cannon builds for sure. You know, I'm not saying this is like raw weapon damage, but it's a lot better weapon damage. So I've just had the Tardigrade proc here. What I now really need to try and do is get a kill. And I'm not going to do it against the boss, admittedly. But as soon as we get to the next stage where there's like red bars and so on, you know, as a Shepherd player, you're going to have good knowledge of the maps anyway, so you'll know where. Oh, we've got healing here anyway. Nice. You'll know automatically where like all the enemies spawn and so on, so you can just get in there and spam out a load of grenade launcher shots, get your tip of the spear weapon bonus. You can then start killing the remaining enemies, but also reset everybody's Tardigrade cooldown. It's him dead. So even without that tip of the spear bonus, we are hitting 900k a shot. I don't scoff at those numbers. I know they're certainly a lot higher than what a tank would hit, and they're a lot higher than what a healer would hit. So, you know, this is definitely a hybrid. It is part weapon damage, part support. So you're never going to be the best of both worlds. But in my way, I think with my version of this build, you're kind of hitting that sweet spot where you can still do that damage, but still support your team. To be fair, my Tardigrade cooldown's already run out now anyway, so that's not a problem, but yeah, certainly in heated battles, just keep the trick is keeping out for red bars. That's what you want to be doing.
Door sealed. Shit, no way you're getting through there. You're gonna have to take
So that just sort of decimated all those red bars there with just 2 shots. Oof. Okay, that's my Tardigrade proc. So I could, in theory, just kill this guy and get it straight back again. There we go. So now if I stand out of cover here, you'll watch it will kick in again. Now nothing is shooting me. Oh, that actually didn't. That was weird. Well, I've not got the cooldown in my ammo bar, so there it is. Okay, it kicked in that time. So that was only a few seconds after. So now what I'm going to do is kill this guy. Reset it again. There we go. I've still got 2 ammo in the mag as well. And you see the ammo bar's got some orange notches there, so every time I get a kill...
Medical assistance needed.
Gets crit spike again. Reset it again. And it's that simple, you just keep doing that. You know, you're still getting a lot of kills, which is the most important part. Because you don't want to be that guy that doesn't get kills in a mission, especially if you are, you know, a shepherd agent that helps out other people. You ultimately still want to be getting kills. And yeah, with that massive weapon damage you get from tip, and of course the massive damage you get to your grenade launcher, 3.2 mil per shot. You know, that's plenty. That's plenty. There we go, so what I'll do is we'll probably bring the video to a close now. I don't want to go for this entire mission because this is a stronghold and we'll be here all day otherwise, but hopefully that demonstrated where the build excels. In terms of how to spec it out, as I say, the 6th item here that's not the exotical gear set, you just want to pick something that's relevant to the class that you go. I'll try and help you out this a little bit, so definitely for sharpshooter you want to be using Punch Drunk or potentially Fox's Prayer, and for anything that offers explosive damage, so these 3, you want to be using a China Light because it does buff all 3 of them. The crossbow, the grenade launcher, and of course the Technician homing seeker rocket launcher. This one, I'm not too sure what to use here. That's a good point actually, because I don't know what that class is as. I don't think it's classed as explosive damage, so just use maybe Fox's Prayer for the damage to targets out of cover, because when you set them on fire they automatically come out of cover. That's just 8% extra damage for this. Yeah, maybe 10% Golan status effects. I'm not too sure for that one. Gunner, I just straight up wouldn't use. It's terrible. You'll get killed trying to use this. If you're absolutely going to use it, again, I would just recommend Fox's Prayer. And you know, Fox's Prayer will only complement your M1A. So that's probably the go-to for each one. I mean, this is 15% explosive damage. It would only be 8% extra damage if I use Fox's Prayer here, but it would also be 10% extra damage for this, and the 8% damage to targets out of cover on top of that. So, you know, I would say probably Fox's Prayer is best in slot, but yeah, I went for a China Light because it benefits so many of the different classes. I've spec'd each piece into critical hit chance and damage, as you can see, or mostly just critical hit chance. This, I just run out of pieces. I would have crafted more. You want to try and get a critical hit chance and damage piece here as well, and just reroll it to red depending on what you choose. But if you look at my stats there, I'm at 58.4% and 62 critical hit damage. Yes, that seems low. Yes, it is low, but ultimately I'm still hitting hard enough to be able to kill enemies relatively effectively while supporting my team. So this is absolutely a hybrid build. Try it out, let me know what you think. Tardigrade just dropped some True Sons missions. I know Lincoln Memorial was a popular farm for it, but there are a few farms. You know, just chest targeted loot works really well for it as well. Yeah, farm this out, let me know what you guys think. I know this is a bit of a weird hybrid build, but I really like how this plays, and it does save my team more often than I care to count for. If you have any versions of this build, I want to hear from my Shepherd Agent followers here. You know, are there any particular builds that you feel work best when you're going out gaining those Shepherd ranks? Please let me know. I'll see you all in the next video. I hope you had a great weekend, and take it easy.